What if the drink in your hand was never just a drink? What if it was a costume, a signal, a ready-made personality sold so smoothly that one day you stopped wearing it and started calling it your real self? That is the real genius of alcohol marketing. It does not simply sell liquid. It sells a version of you that looks more confident, more attractive, more relaxed, more powerful, and somehow more complete. And the reason it works so well is because it rarely feels like marketing while it is happening. Most people think alcohol ads are simple. They picture a bottle, a logo, a party, maybe a rooftop, maybe a beautiful bar with perfect lighting, maybe a crowd that looks effortless and alive. On the surface, it feels harmless because nobody is forcing anybody to buy anything. But the real trick goes much deeper than the drink itself. The visible product is the bottle. The invisible product is identity. That is why alcohol marketing stays powerful year after year. It almost never says, "Here is a drink." It says, "Here is the kind of person you become when you drink this. This beer makes you the confident friend everybody wants around. This whiskey makes you serious, grounded, and masculine. This wine makes you elegant, mature, and refined. This cocktail makes you magnetic, playful, and hard to ignore." The liquid barely changes, but the meaning wrapped around it keeps changing until it can fit almost anyone. And that is where the psychology becomes dangerous. The moment alcohol stops feeling like something you consume and starts feeling like something that expresses you, the relationship becomes much stronger. People can cut back on a product they merely enjoy. It becomes much harder to walk away from something they believe represents who they are. Once drinking gets attached to confidence, adulthood, romance, status, freedom, or belonging, rejecting it can begin to feel like rejecting a piece of the self. That is the trap. The person thinks they are choosing a drink, but often they are trying to protect a character they were taught to admire. Look closely at alcohol ads and you will notice what they always show and what they carefully hide. They show light, music, attraction, laughter, celebration, friendship, and effortless confidence. The drink sits in the center of the frame as if it created the whole moment. But it did not create the beauty of the night. It borrowed the beauty and took the credit. That is how the fake identity gets built. Oh no, alcohol brands borrow meaning from things human beings already want, then glue those meanings onto the bottle until the bottle feels inseparable from the emotion. Brotherhood becomes beer. Sophistication becomes wine. Power becomes whiskey. Glamour becomes cocktails. Celebration becomes champagne. The product is not selling chemistry. It is selling a shortcut into an emotional world that already mattered before the drink arrived. And that fake identity feels real because it appears to solve emotional problems. Good marketing does not only promise status, it promises relief. Feeling awkward? Drink. Feeling stressed? Drink. Feeling lonely? Drink. Want to celebrate? Drink. Want to feel brave? Drink. Want to look more grown, more interesting, more relaxed? Drink. The exact message changes depending on the person. But the logic stays the same. Whatever is missing in this moment, alcohol can provide it. That is why the conditioning runs so deep. After enough repetition, people stop hearing those ideas as advertising and start hearing them as common sense. This is hitting close. I wrote a book called The Big Liquor Life, where I break these exact mental chains step by step in a real practical way. If you're serious about changing your habits, check it out. Link in the description. Of course you drink at weddings. Of course you drink on vacation. Of course you drink after a hard week. Of course you need a drink before a social event. At that point, the behavior starts to feel natural, even when it was trained over time. This is how a fake identity enters so quietly. It does not arrive wearing a sign that says false self. It arrives dressed as comfort, confidence, adulthood, reward, tradition, romance, and fun. The person says, "This is just what I like." But sometimes what they like is partly a conditioned response built from repeated emotional messaging they absorb for years without even noticing. And repetition is exactly why the whole system works. Most people imagine marketing as one ad they can ignore. Real marketing is not one ad. It is an atmosphere. It shows up in sports, music, films, social media, holidays, restaurants, family habits, jokes, college life, dating culture, office culture, and everyday language. A teenager sees that drinking looks like growing up. A student sees that drinking looks like belonging. A young professional sees that drinking looks like confidence. A tired parent sees that drinking looks like relief. The substance stays the same, but the costume keeps changing. That is why the training often goes unnoticed. The message does not come from one place. It comes from everywhere at once. When the same emotional lesson reaches you through brands, friends, media, celebrations, and culture, it stops sounding like persuasion and starts sounding like truth. And what makes the illusion even stronger is what alcohol marketing leaves out. It almost never shows the anxiety the next morning, the bad sleep, the blackout, the pointless argument, the text you regret, the wasted money, the damaged trust, the health risk, or the dependency that can quietly grow behind the buzz. If the mind sees only the glowing side again and again, then the glowing side starts to feel like the full story. That omission matters more than most people realize. When someone finally starts noticing that alcohol is draining energy, stealing clarity, hurting mood, damaging discipline, or making life smaller instead of better, watch the experience feels confusing before it feels freeing. They were promised connection and got disconnection. They were promised confidence and got reliance. They were promised personality and got performance. The betrayal feels personal because the product was sold like a friend, but behaved more like a thief. And this identity trick does not only target the young, although it often starts there. When younger people are exposed to alcohol marketing early, the image can sink into self-concept before they have enough distance to question it. If the admired people drink, the cool people drink, the attractive people drink, and the adults who seem important drink, then alcohol stops looking like a simple choice. It starts looking like an entrance ticket into a version of life they want. But adulthood does not protect anyone from the same mechanism. The marketing simply becomes more polished. For younger audiences, the message may sound like freedom, rebellion, and fitting in. For adults, it turns into reward, refinement, taste, and earned pleasure. Instead of saying be wild, it says you deserve this. Instead of saying fit in, it says you have standards. Instead of saying become fun, it says become elevated. The bottle stays the same while the story around it changes clothes. That flexibility is part of its power. Alcohol can be the college drink, the executive drink, the beach drink, the holiday drink, the breakup drink, the date night drink, the celebration drink, and the stress drink. It meets people wherever they feel insecure and offers them a ready-made self. Once that self sticks, how do people begin protecting it without even realizing it? If alcohol is tied to being social, then saying no can feel antisocial. If it is tied to masculinity, then refusing it can feel weak. If it is tied to sophistication, sobriety can feel plain. If it is tied to celebration, joy can start to feel incomplete without it. At that point, the person is not just defending a habit, they are defending a costume they have mistaken for skin. You can hear it in everyday language. I am a whiskey guy. I need wine to unwind. I am more fun after a few drinks. We always drink on vacation. It is just what we do. These lines sound casual, but they reveal something deeper. A product has entered identity territory, and once identity is involved, logic alone rarely wins. One celebration may be the perfect doorway, because celebration already carries emotion before alcohol even appears. Birthdays, weddings, promotions, reunions, vacations, big games, anniversaries, graduations, holidays. The meaning is already there. The joy is already there. The anticipation is already there. Alcohol simply steps into the frame and behaves as if it created the energy. After enough repetition, the brain starts confusing the symbol with the source. That is how borrowed meaning becomes ritual. People begin to feel that the event is incomplete without the drink, even when the event itself is already full of life. But once you see the pattern, the illusion starts to break. The laughter came from the people. The warmth came from the connection. The meaning came from the milestone. The drink was a prop trying to claim authorship over emotions it did not create. The good news is that the spell weakens the moment it becomes visible. Marketing works best when you do not notice the manipulation. So the first step in breaking it is learning to pause and name the tactic in real time. What emotion is this ad selling? What insecurity is it solving? What identity is it borrowing? What cost has been cut out of the frame? The moment you ask those questions, you stop absorbing the message and start studying it. The second step is building a real identity that does not need the rented one. If alcohol has been acting as your shortcut to confidence, then you need confidence built through action. If it has been acting as your symbol of celebration, then you need rituals that still feel meaningful in daylight. If it has been acting as your social bridge, then you need people and spaces where your real personality can breathe. If it has been acting as your reward, then you need rewards that do not punish you the next morning. That is where life starts becoming honest again. A calm morning, better sleep, sharper memory, clear skin, steadier moods, money that stays in your pocket, conversations you remember, weekends that do not require recovery, the ability to leave a room without needing one more drink just to feel normal. None of these things look glamorous in an ad, but they have something stronger than glamour. They are real. That is why so many people who step away from alcohol describe the beginning as awkward, but the longer journey as powerful. They start noticing that the best parts of them were never in the bottle. Their kindness was real. Their wit was real. Their courage was real. Their style was real. Their depth was real. Alcohol was not creating those qualities. It was taking credit for them. The world may keep selling the costume, but you do not have to keep wearing it.